Okay, guys, we are back at Jimmy's, and I came in and surprised him today because I feel like it. And this is Gus again, and I'm covering again for Derek and Ryan. And usually, really, I do a horrible job. I apologize. But what I wanted to do is I've been extremely curious. I've been racing here for years. Not so well. I'm not a good racer, but I love racing. And I've always wondered the different cars, and I wanted to talk about Jimmy's great collection. Jimmy's humble about it, but I want to talk about this collection because there's so many beautiful cars here. And it invokes so much memory for me. So I'm going to give it to Jimmy here, and I'm going to get closer. And Jimmy, it's up to you. Sorry for showing that without any help here.
Gus, I think we should start at the cases because there was one particular fella that said, "What's in the cases?"
Do you want to start with this case here?
Okay, we can.
Yeah.
We can.
Because this is the mixed case, I think, right?
Yeah, this is a mixed case of cars.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about that.
This is a collection of McLarens that raced at Le Mans in '95. I think they changed the Federation of International Automobilia, which FIA was the standard for racing at Le Mans. They changed the rules in '95, and the cars could no longer be a prototype car. They had to be a car that was manufactured, and these McLarens were made just for that. Today they're multi-million-dollar cars, but I've got a collection of them, and I always try to get at least 8 because I can race 8 on my track. These are Daytona prototypes that race at Daytona currently, made by 2 different manufacturers. And this is my collection of Formula One cars. I really like the winged cars before they outlawed them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm gonna zoom on it.
They outlawed them in 1968 after a tragic crash. But anyway, so these are cars that raced in the 70s, and these are cars that raced in the 50s.
These are the classic 50 car racing that I think the cars are so beautiful.
I made this out of a model that came in this car too. They were both static models, and I took the chassis out of a car like this and put them into there. These are historic race cars. And these down here are chevrons that raced in the 1970s in a smaller class. Their engines were small, but it was still fun racing. So I decided to get 8 of them for my collection.
Okay, let's move to the second one.
All right. I've got the case behind you, Gus.
Yep, I'm turning without making anybody...
This is one of my favorite collections
All right.
here. Some of these are my sons. They became so valuable that I hated to see the kids mess with them. So in 1970, Porsche became dominant, and it was Porsche versus Ferrari for about 4 or 5 straight years, and then Porsche continued to dominate. So what you see here is cars for Le Mans with the whale tail, and you see cars for Daytona, which are a shorter wheelbase, not wheelbase, but shorter spoilers.
Okay.
And then as you move down, there's more Porsches and more Ferraris. 512s, and then down here is a Alfa Romeo, 2 Alfas.
Oh, hold on. Where are they? Okay.
Two Alfas and a Lola.
Okay.
These cars have become very valuable, Gus.
So when were these cars made? Not the real cars, these cars.
These model cars?
Yeah.
All the way from about 1994-ish, 95-ish till today.
Okay.
Yeah, they reproduced some of them.
So hopefully this answers the question that some of you were asking about what's in the cases.
What's in the case?
All right. Okay. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and move now.
These cars raced in the 50s and 60s. This is sort of a diorama of the Riverside International Raceway in Los Angeles Times Grand Prix in about 1963. Before they got totally organized, people were racing in clubs with the Sports Car Club of America that organized, and they really didn't have any engine and restrictions. It was not as well. The rules weren't as stringent back then. So guys were bringing all kinds of great cars out there, and then the manufacturers got involved. If you look here, there's a Grand Sport Camaro. And General Motors was not supposed to be supporting racing at that time, but they did secretly test cars, and they ended up being sold to people like Meekum, and then they were raced. This is what started the trouble. This was a Ford Mustang in '63. They went to Carroll Shelby and asked him to turn it into a race car. And he already built up the Cobra on his own. When these showed up, the big money started to come into racing. But all in all, this was still when guys were building cars in their own garage. These were kit cars. And they had all kinds of different engines, all kinds of different tires, and it was before the age of aerodynamics, that's for sure.
Okay.
So it was lots of fun to see them race.
Okay.
These trucks raced in 1994, 1995. These are all scratch made.
Oh, okay.
They originally were a static model.
Okay.
And
so scratch race, you mean by scratch race, you mean
scratch built.
Built. So you built them.
These trucks were built by me.
Okay.
And my sons and about 5 or 6 Boy Scouts. In fact, they have the Boy Scouts name on them.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's for a driver.
Awesome.
We took the models, and I wrote to the Daytona 500 Speedway's museum, and they sent me this portfolio, this folder.
Let me see. Let me go to that one. Here we go.
And it was really cool to me. The boys were really excited. Here's all the specifications for the truck, including drawings of how to modify them.
Incredible.
Yeah. So
and where was the models based? I mean, what did you buy originally to make these?
These were snapped together, 1/32 scale Ford 1990 trucks.
Okay, and you customized them.
We did. We turned them into race trucks. If you notice, the wheel wells are cut out. They're lowered. Wheel wells are cut out. We haven't finished the roll bars. The roll bars are going to come up through here.
Okay.
I have the glass and interior yet to go.
Okay.
All the boys are in their 30s now.
Yeah. When we started this, the boys were actually doing them. And this was built by you and your sons and Boy Scouts.
That's right.
Pretty impressive.
That's right.
Pretty impressive.
Of course, I led the way, of course.
Of course,
but
right, yeah.
It gave them something to race, and that was before we were able to obtain all these other beautiful models after 1995.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you found these static cars at
a toy show.
At a toy show.
At a toy show.
Okay. So these are basically custom built, if you want to say that.
One of my Boy Scouts turned to me and he said, "Wouldn't it be cool if we could race trucks?" And I thought it was stupid to race trucks. And they had their uniforms on, and the guy heard him who had these models, and he said, "Hey, I'll give you a deal for the Boy Scouts." We ended up buying a whole case of them.
That's impressive.
I think the boys paid like $3 a model. It was
incredible.
But then all the pressure was on me to make these cars perform.
Of course.
I wanted to show you they're all scratch made. This is Plastistrucks supporting an electronic surplus motor that we got, and they all have different gearing, and the tires I had bought. So we made those from scratch. As these NASCARs evolved to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to today, the families only had one car in the 50s.
Okay.
And then Renault and Volkswagen started bringing foreign cars, and then Mom had a grocery getter car. Ford Motor Company, through Lee Iacocca, invented the Mustang, and the pony car era began.
Okay.
Sports Car Club of America, for many years, did not want to give prize money.
Okay.
But they ended up making the Trans-American race, Trans Am. That's what we call them.
Yeah. So that's Trans-American race.
Right.
Okay.
And they raced from 1966 till 73. They raced longer, but in after 1973, the manufacturer stopped supporting the cars.
Okay.
And before that, for those 6-7 years, it was wild and great racing.
Yeah, obviously you can tell different cars.
Camaros, Fords, Chevys, Javelins.
Beautiful.
Camaros, Cougars, Chargers, Challengers.
And you know, when
Not Challengers,
when
but
we go to the Henry Ford Museum another time, we should walk and look at the real cars and compare them to these models.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
That's scratch made. That was a street car.
Okay, that was a scratch made.
And-
So these are a combination of scratch made and bought.
A couple of them, because
A couple are scratch made or bought.
Scratch made by me.
Okay,
Scratch made
and the
by
rest
me.
are bought. What company made most of these?
Scale Electric.
Scale Electric.
Scale Electric. And this is made by Pioneer.
Okay.
I have to say this: there are manufacturers today. If you remember, in the 60s and 70s, cars started going faster and faster. And the way you make a car go faster, you lower the center of gravity and you make the car wider. I guarantee it's going to be faster. You follow?
Yeah.
And hotter motors too.
Yeah.
The manufacturers are starting to do that today. There are cars. We had talked about the width I made between the slots, sufficient for the widest car, a Can-Am car, to go by. Today they make cars that are out of scale and wider. They're faster, but they don't go on my track.
Okay.
I don't collect any of those manufacturers.
Perfect.
And no need to mention the manufacturers.
Yeah,
you
no,
know
no.
who you are.
So I want to look at some of the models here before we.
Well, okay, these were, in Trans Am, they broke it into over 2 liter and under 2 liter.
Okay.
Although they raced at the same time,
Okay.
these cars here, guys,
Okay.
raced during the Trans Am right alongside these big block cars.
Okay. So
They,
let's
were,
put a.
they raced
let's put a block.
they raced side by side.
Okay.
These had a smaller displacement,
Okay.
but they were allowed on.
Okay.
And so they had prize money for under 2 liters
and over 2 liters. Now these, I'm assuming, are also bought models, or are they?
Yeah, they're all about models.
Okay. And again, same company.
Scale Electric, no. Some of these are Fly.
Okay.
These are Fly
Okay.
by different companies. These are Scale Electric.
Okay.
This car was given to me for my retirement by my son. He scratch made this.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
That's a one-off.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like you pointing out those because I don't
only
know.
one of a kind Mini Cooper.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move forward down this beautiful track.
Okay, there was a series that I really love, and it was called Group 5.
Okay, Group 5.
Group 5. I think it originally started as a FIA organization in Europe, and IMSA, International Motorsports Association in America, took up the rules. So suddenly, all over the world, guys were buying a dealership, a showroom car, and they were allowed to put all kinds of aerodynamics on the car. That's why they look so wild. If you look at them, they're this is a Capri. I mean, you can hardly tell it's a Capri.
Can you grab it, bring it closer?
Yeah, that's a Porsche.
Yeah, so.
See, this is a Ford Capri. Yeah. They put the radiators in the back. They were allowed to do a lot of changes to these cars. The wings.
Perfect.
Okay, but they had to start with the original car's chassis. Okay. And they're great fun to race.
All right.
They're about as wide as we could get on the track.
Okay.
Those raced. I'm gonna look at my notes.
No problem.
The Group 5 cars raced from 70 to 82.
Okay.
Gus, these are Can-Am cars.
Okay.
The Canadian American Challenge is what it was called.
Okay.
It started in '66, and these cars reflect cars
in '66.
From '66, and they paid big money. And famous race car drivers from Formula One around the world would want to come race these cars. These cars were unlimited.
Oh, wow.
They were limited in width, they were limited in length, but you can see all kinds of new things evolved.
So these models are Starboard or
these are all store bought.
What company?
Many different companies.
Okay.
Fly and Revell and Scale Electric.
Okay.
On some of these cars, I did detail them though.
Of course.
I mean, if I ink the lights and the doors it brings out the detail.
Mm.
And that's what I did to this car.
Perfect. All right, so let's move to the next one.
These cars were the cars that finally raced in '74. These were some of the most, not some, they were the most powerful race cars ever.
They look it.
I think this car right here, this Porsche 91710, I think it was called, put out 1,400 horsepower. They were unbelievable. And the aerodynamics were worked in and refined by 1974. They got too big.
Yeah, you can see.
And the just like most racing, it can kill itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So models, these are store-bought. Store. I can't speak.
Yeah, these are store-bought. These are all Carrera cars.
All Carrera.
I like Carrera cars. Not all, but like this is Scale Electric. But what I like about the Carrera cars is there's a switch. Let me see if I can find out with the switch. There's a switch. See that little switch in there?
Mm-hmm.
A, B.
Mm-hmm.
With my AC2 car,
It's
I
perfect.
can switch it from A to B.
Perfect.
So Carrera cars are my favorites. This represents Group C. Group C was a FIA designation for from 1983 to 1991. These cars were splendid.
Okay.
Porsche was dominating, and then little by little, other manufacturers like Toyota came in. March, Toyota did well, and then the Jaguars did well at the end.
And this is what years you said?
83 to 91.
And these models are also store-bought?
Yeah, these are
can't
all
speak today.
these are all made by Slotted, a very, very good manufacturer of cars.
Okay.
You take them out of the box, they go right on the track with no modifications.
Take one and
There.
flip it for me, please.
There you go.
Perfect.
They've got a pod that's separate, which makes the car faster because the vibration doesn't transfer to the body. These are very fast cars. There's manufacturers who are making faster cars, but not to scale. Slotted is keeping them to original scale.
And how much something like this goes for nowadays?
About $80, 60
Wow.
to $80.
Man,
Yeah.
prices have gone up.
They have gone up.
Now, I know you have some...
Yeah, let's go look at the ones in the cases there. Those are ending up being more valuable as a collector. I put these out so we could talk about collectibility.
Okay.
Some of these cars, this Jägermeister car, the red, white, and blue Porsche, I don't want to quote a price.
But they're gaining money. Yeah.
5 times what I paid.
5 times what you paid for them.
Yeah, 5 times what
So
I paid.
we have about 2 more minutes here. So
Sure.
yeah, let's talk about collectivity, collections and
Collectibility?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's guys who trade. I mean, I've traded cars. I've traded cars with people. I'm into fine scale, and I have favorites, cars that I've seen race at the racetrack. That's very important for me. And it's obviously important for other guys because that's why some of these cars become more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It's cars that they saw race.
Yeah, it's incredible. Do you have an estimate of how many cars you have?
No, you know what? I blush every time I talk about this.
Yeah, but you've collected these over your lifetime, right? It's a collection.
It's my whole life. It's like an addiction.
Yeah.
But I know where everyone is. If one was missing, I would know it. You know what I'm saying? And as I told you earlier, yeah, it's work to bring it out to show everybody, but I like fondling them.
Oh yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? These are beautiful. They're like the real thing, except obviously scaled down. But I mean, some of these cars I'll never be able to touch or see, but I can come and touch them and see them here.
I'll tell you
and
what
race
hurts.
them.
I'll tell you what hurts.
Yeah.
When I give my 8 grandchildren a car, and I see it abused. Oh, jeez.
But it's honestly the only place where you can race.
To
Cars,
scale.
yeah, to scale.
In a scale
cars.
environment.
Yeah,
There are other men who love scale. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's other race tracks, but it's been my hobby. It's been my passion for all this time. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Of course, I can't speak today, and I came in and kind of surprised you. I'm always amazed by your great collection because it's incredible collection, and
There's other categories that we didn't talk about: GT racing, and the Japanese touring cars that they race in Japan, prototype cars that race at Le Mans, the modern prototypes. I can go on and on. And of course, the Ford versus Ferrari cars.
Oh, I love these.
Yeah.
So
the Porsche P2s, P3s, the Ferrari GTs. These cars will all be displayed on
go ahead.
a shelf.
Okay.
Up in the far corner.
All right. We have 9 seconds, 7 seconds. So say,
See you guys.
thank you guys.